Welcome to Meet the COO, Greg Nagy, our new career-oriented interview format by the Operations Council. My name is Neil Brown, CEO of the Operations Council. And with that, I'd like to introduce our panelists, Greg Nagy, again, Chief Operating Officer of MDisrupt, an Austin, Texas-based health tech platform. Greg's operations career evolved from multiple marketing roles, including CMO and VP of Global Marketing and Chief Commercial Officer at several global corporations, including Topcon Medical Systems, Drawbridge Health, Eon Dental, Amgen, and Vertex Pharmaceuticals. Greg earned an MBA from Pepperdine and a BS-Bioengineering from UC San Diego. Greg, welcome and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Neil. Great being here with you today. Just by way of introduction, I just wanted to give you a little bit of brief background. So I'm currently the Chief Operating Officer at MDisrupt. MDisrupt is the health technology industry's leading health expert marketplace. We connect health tech, life science companies, all of these ranging from startups to enterprise giants, with vetted and curated health experts to help them build, commercialize, and scale their health products. Our vision is really simple. It's to provide on-demand access to the most elite clinicians and seasoned experts in the industry. In an ever-evolving healthcare landscape, having healthcare domain experts at your fingertips is the key to building solutions that can enable widespread adoption and scale. And as the COO of MDisrupt, I directly oversee all administrative and operational functions, including product and engineering. But I'm also deeply involved in our commercialization strategy. We're an earlier stage company, so there are lots of ideas, lots of different initiatives. It's important in a startup to test and iterate, always improving and looking to unlock new opportunities.
Very interesting. Well, thank you for that, Greg. And let's both go on video now, and we will get into our questions. Our interview format is intended to get to a number of career-related questions, a so-called lightning round Q&A. So with that, my first question is, how did you transition from marketing to operations?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. My career path has not at all been a straight line. You know, as you had mentioned, I graduated with a degree in bioengineering. You know, early on, I got involved in the development and deployment of these large-scale drug discovery systems in the pharmaceutical biotech industry. I found myself taking on an operational leadership role at one of the biopharma giants called Amgen in Thousand Oaks. I stood up a $100 million automated drug discovery compound repository, and this was all in the name of really supporting drug discovery programs. But during that same time, I earned an MBA, and I'd say I got bitten by the commercial bug. And what I mean by that is I realized in doing my education that it wasn't enough to have a great product. You had to actually understand how to get that product to market. That was probably even more important than having a great product. I saw lots of great products on the market that they never actually even saw the light of day. There was like a clear trend and a clear pattern that emerged for me. The companies just didn't take the time to understand their market. Sometimes they built the wrong product. Sometimes they took a great product to the wrong customers. And what I saw was they wasted millions of sales dollars. They would take this great product and they would try to sell it to an audience that wasn't receptive to it at all. And what this led me to do is actually start spending the next 16 years in global product and marketing leadership roles. I know that's a little bit of a diversion from my kind of engineering and operational start, but you know, as I underwent that journey, I found that you know, it was really actually an effective add to an operational and COO role. The COOs really have to focus on the customer, and operational leaders overall, like they have to figure out how to deliver not just a great product, but actually deliver clear value. And the customer is like quintessential to that. So I would say that I never really pursued a career in operations. I would say that it actually pursued me. I started there And here I come full circle back into my current role as COO, and put the pieces together there.
Neat. Well, that kind of relates to our next question. What are the roles and responsibilities of a CEO or of a COO? And are they different for startups versus mature companies? You work for both.
Yeah, really, also a really good question, because I've seen both sides of that equation, and I'd say, operational leadership and COO role is not really a one size fits all. It really varies widely. Depends on the industry. I've spent my entire career, for example, in healthcare and health tech, and it also depends on the stage of the company, as you had mentioned, startups versus mature companies. But I'd say there's a common thread. The COO needs to be a strategic executioner and executioneer. And what I mean by that is they need to figure out how to get things done with the resources that they have. They do actually have that kind of they become the right hand of the CEO. And to be successful, they really need to build the trust of the CEO, but the entire team. They need to be a trusted partner in the company, but not just in good times, but also in bad times. They need to be a sounding board. They need to be able to share difficult information with executive teams, and they need to execute challenging decisions. It's not always an easy role to be in. In earlier, earlier stage companies like MDisrupt is a smaller, earlier stage company. The COO really needs to wear many hats. They're not just an orchestrator. They actually have to be someone who's willing and able to roll up their sleeves. They need to know how to get things done, but at the same time, they need to foster that collaboration within the company. So they need to figure out how to maximize what they can do with the limiting resources. So in some ways, it's that making 1 + 1 = 3 needs to be one of the superpowers of the COO. It's finding ways to really achieve growth, continuing to kind of unlock faster growth. And it's not a straight line. It's going to be full of ups and downs in the startup company. But to me, it's really invigorating because it's always an exciting challenge. It's not easy. At a mature company, on the other hand, I found that the COO is actually much less hands-on. They can't afford the time to spend on kind of the day-to-day nitty-gritty. They need to focus on building a strong team. They need to create efficiencies. They need to optimize processes, all towards really driving profitability. So that's very different. In the small company, you're trying to unlock opportunity. In the large company, you're trying to really drive profitability. And in the big company, you need to be able to look further ahead. You need to take today's developments and make sure that everything you're doing on the day-to-day aligns towards the longer-term goals of the company. In my role, I just love the fact that I can be both a thinker and a doer, no matter what size of the company. I can shape the company's vision. I can bring it to life. The CEO really spends a lot of time on actually developing that vision. The COO is the one that actually becomes that executioner, the person that actually brings that to life. So that's really invigorating in this role.
Neat. Yeah, very well spoken. All right. So you've been in a lot of different scenarios here. What have been some of the milestones or inflection points in your career?
Yeah, I'd say I was very fortunate early on in my career. I was with a company called Aurora Biosciences based in San Diego. And, the really interesting story with Aurora is they developed a technology that unlocked therapies for the cystic fibrosis treatment. And this was my first job out of college. The company was acquired by Vertex Pharmaceuticals that took that over and turned it into a multi-billion-dollar drug. But what this really gave me the chance to do as a young guy straight out of college, the executive team saw my drive and they gave me the chance to lead a cross-functional team on one of the company's very core projects. They watched several others with a lot more experience fail at actually executing on that project. And what I noticed in observing these project teams is they couldn't get other stakeholders to really rally around the mission. So I noticed that it mainly came down to communication, creating clear goals, getting the stakeholders aligned, and I quickly learned that the value of clear and consistent communication and situational leadership was really paramount. It was a small team, but it was quite diverse, and I found success in really taking the time to deeply understand what really motivated each team member. And this lesson still sticks with me today. I'm a strong believer in situational leadership at all levels, like creating that environment where you can collaborate and innovate at the same time, but actually understanding what motivates each of the members of the team. After that, probably one of the most transformative of inflection points happened when I made a leap from engineering and operations into a product role. This really is my foray into the commercial side. I was given the opportunity and I jumped in with both feet. The learning curve was steep, I could say, at the beginning. I'd never launched a product, much less developed product positioning. They asked me to go develop a brochure, and I said, okay, how do you do that? And I just went and figured it out, used my resources, and fortunately, I came out really good on the other side. I was able to manage one of the largest aesthetic medical device products at the time, called Thermage. Fast forwarding from that, I was elevated to not just overseeing the product team, so all of our products across about a $200 million portfolio, but actually being elevated to a senior leadership role to oversee the marketing team. Starting as an engineer, I would have never guessed that I'd be leading a marketing team, but I really found to love it. As I find myself today back in the COO seat, again, operations continually tends to find me. I don't find it. I find the marketing experience to be really invaluable to this role. Going back to understanding the customer needs, understanding the market dynamics, is really paramount to unlocking success at any business. And also the thing with marketing is you get involved quite a bit with strategic planning, and that strategic planning on the commercial side really becomes invaluable to driving the entire organization as a COO.
Wow, that's very interesting. And I noticed one of your titles was Chief Commercial Officer. So is commercial officer, is that a marketing role, or what is that?
Yeah, I've had the chance to be a chief marketing officer and a chief commercial officer, where chief commercial officer also envelops a lot of the business development and sales capacities of the company as well. Again, the same way that marketing really was instrumental and foundational to being an operational leader, understanding sales and actually understanding how the bag is carried, how sales are done, how sales are executed becomes a really important part, particularly because a big part of the COO purview is the commercial operations component, how all of these systems interconnect, whether it be CRMs, whether it be how marketing systems are interconnected, and really understanding how to take advantage of a lot of those technologies out there to actually make the commercial team hum and become more efficient. So I think that also contributed significantly to becoming a more effective COO.
Nice. Tell us about some of your keys to your success, if you were to hone in on a few of them.
Sure, yeah, and I'm like most people, right? I'm still unlocking my success, hopefully, as I continue to learn. But I found an industry that I'm really passionate about, and I think that's really important. I took one kind of diversion into more of a technology company, and I found myself really having a passion to go back into the healthcare industry. And what this does is it keeps me learning and growing because I'm really interested in it. If I'm not challenged, I'm really not learning, and I stop growing. I like really working in a role where I can contribute and where my contributions make a difference. I've never really been afraid to take career risks. That's really served me well. That's something that I would encourage more people to do. It's easy to get involved in a big company, kind of sit back and collect a paycheck. But I think taking a risk and actually getting involved is something you're really passionate about. Really helps to drive you forward. I worked for some really great larger companies. I talked about a couple of them earlier in my career. I met really great people, great people that have gone on to do really amazing things, and I learned a lot from them. But what I found is working for earlier stage companies helped me to learn how to do a lot with a little. So it really made me effective and efficient, finding ways to be innovative, finding ways to be resourceful, and constantly adapting through those ups and downs. I mentioned previously that I've developed a diverse set of skills: engineering, product management, finance, operations, marketing, across pharma, biotech, medical device, diagnostics, and technology itself. But also I worked globally. Nearly every region of the world I've spent some time in, and I've had these opportunities because I've always said yes. There's always opportunities in companies, and I just said yes and jump in with both feet. Oftentimes I got to go and figure out how to learn the job, and I've found ways to do that through connecting with the right people. But I think this diversity of like perspective across both like kind of global boundaries as well as like different industries has really given me a strong foundation. I can be a leader across the globe, and it's critical that you can effectively guide and motivate a diverse team. Again, getting back to that situational leadership thing, you need to really understand how these teams operate, how different cultures operate, and I think that will lend itself well into the COO role because you can really connect with people on a different level.
Very, very well spoken. So I think you kind of touched on advice for operations and COO, but this is our attendees really want to know, what kind of advice you would give if they were seeking a similar role.
Yeah, and I would start off by saying that the chief operating officer is not a difficult job, right? It's not a glamorous role, but it's really rewarding. It's demanding. There's lots of pressure. There's tons of accountability. And people just need to understand that it's not a glamorous role. You've got to really love what you do. So I would say don't really go out seeking a COO title. Go out and put your hand up, say yes, build a strong foundation. Don't be afraid to try things and fail, right? But try things and do whatever it takes to learn the job and be successful. Take those risks. If an opportunity presents itself, which I've always found in every company I've been in, they have, and be the first one to put your hand up. If you don't feel ready to do it anyways. That's probably a good sign that you're stretching yourself. If you're smart, if you're resourceful, you'll figure it out. I have, and each role is going to teach you something new. You'll make a lot of mistakes along the way, like there's no doubt, and that's really part of it. So, but all of this, just think of it this way: all of this is really preparing you to be a strong COO at the end of the day. And if you're really serious about becoming a COO or an operational leader, it's no different than any other job. Network, network, and network. Get in front of the right people. Connect with mentors. A lot of these people will give you guidance. They're more than happy to do so. I'm happy to do so anytime. And who knows, they may be one of the ones that are offering you your next job as their trusted COO in the future. So just get out there and do it.
I agree. Well, that was just great advice, Greg, and thank you for all of your insight today. Great success to you in 23 and beyond. So thank you again, and look forward to further collaboration.
Great. Thanks so much for your time, Neil.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.